specifically in those early downs?
Yeah, I just think he's getting a little bit better each week. He's a big man who has to continue to learn how to play in the NFL against other big men, and guys. So he's getting better each week. He's doing a good job. He had his best game to date last game, and again, he's just in that mindset of the growth mindset of how he gets better every day. And so again, I think it's just he's got the strength, he's got the athleticism, he's got the size to be really good. It's just him learning, just like kind of we talk about Jalen all the time, right? Of, hey, where are you seeing his strides? Well, he's getting accumulated reps, right? And figuring out how to play. And that's what you're seeing with Jordan. I was thinking you were pretty close to me right there. I felt you out in my peripheral vision.
In what ways have Jalen's responsibilities grown pre-snap?
I would say it's been similar throughout the past year. Obviously we try to do our best as coaches to make it simple for him to look for things and so he can go out there and execute and play. But I think it's pretty similar. You might give him one or two more checks or opportunities to. Maybe last year we built things in for him a little bit more, and now this year we're saying if you see this, get to that. And so there's definitely growth in it, but similar because it's similar. I think it's similar if you go back to when we had Phillip Rivers or Andrew Luck or we don't try to put too much on these guys because we want them to be able to play fast and play free. And so it's the same thing. It's the same thing there. So you might have a little bit more here and there. But again, you got to be careful of that. You got to guard yourself on that when you're trying to let your quarterback, try to put you in a perfect play at each time. Like that doesn't work. There's, sometimes when you do that, you get down to the 1 second on the play clock and you're clapping for the ball. So there's a balance in it, and he's definitely had some more growth with that. But again, we have to, the more he can handle, the more we have to guard ourselves on how much you still give him.
You said that when there were some blitzes, some of the answers for Jalen were on the outside last week, and he took them. It seemed like a few times though you guys didn't have numbers there. What kind of answers do you give him when there are free men blitzing from the inside?
Yeah, that's a scheme thing that I think our opponents would want as well. So I'm gonna keep some of that in house, but everything that we do is trying to have an answer to take a hit off of them, or everything we do is going to try to have an answer versus a unique. Every time you think about game planning a defense, you got to think about the unique defenses they do and how those can cause issues for it and have an answer for that. So the answer could be different every time, and I'm kind of I'm trying to answer your question as best I possibly can without giving too much information. The answer is going to be a little bit. Sometimes it's going to be an inside thing. Sometimes it's going to be an outside thing. Sometimes it's going to be a shot down the field. Sometimes it's going to be a screen. Like we had some last week. It's never the same against the blitzes that they bring, right? It's always going to be a little different because when you're the same, it's the same thing we always talk about, right? You give tells to the defense, right? And so if it was always a short thing, then they're gonna play off of that as well. So there's got to be variety to it, and we're very conscious of that, and we're thinking about that a lot.
What growth have you seen overall from him in terms of handling the blitz?
From handling.
Jalen handling the blitz.
Handling the blitz. I think really well. I think that you're seeing. I think last year you saw. He's just doing things like even when he scrambles, right? You're seeing him chunk it down the field, right? It's not, and I read something that a player on the Cardinals said last week. Every time he goes right, he throws it, and every time he goes left, he runs it. But he could throw it. Like, well, I don't think that's true. I actually see him growing there, that he's breaking out of the pocket and he's making plays with both his feet and his arm to the right or the left. And then I also see him doing, there was a guy, they brought one more than we could protect on the 3rd and 12 last week, right? The big play of the game, right? The one we talked so much about, and the one to Dallas on the last drive. They brought one more than we can block. They brought one right off the edge. Kenny Gainwell, free release right there. We couldn't block the free safety because they brought 6. We had 5. Boom. And did he run there? No. He stood in there, threw a bullet to Dallas for one of the biggest conversions we've had this year, and the biggest play of that game. So the answer is, to me, is like he's got more variety to his game in that.
You guys have run the ball well in the red zone. Where do you feel like the passing game is in the red zone? And is that kind of an area you'd like to see sharper?
No, I mean, I look where we are in the red zone. You want to score touchdowns every single time you get down in there. Reality is you're probably not. I mean, that's our goal. We have a certain goal, and and I think we're a little short of what our goal is, right? You always want to be in the top 5, top 10, and we are in the top. I think we're 8th in red zone, but we're a little short of what our goal is. So you're looking for ways to improve it. We know that we have ability to run the ball down there, but again, you don't want to be too predictable either. So you're looking to marry things. You're looking to mesh things together. And so I thought in the Jacksonville game, we had some opportunities to make some plays there in the pass game on that, just because that was the way it was going, and we missed a couple of those opportunities, whether it was a coaching thing, whether it was an execution thing, this or that. So obviously we always want to improve there, and that's always a focus for us of how we're going to improve passing the ball in there and use our playmakers down there.
Back to the 21 draft, what was your view of Parsons coming out, and how did you expect him to be used in the NFL?
Yeah, I thought, obviously, he was a really outstanding player. I remember that bowl game he had against Memphis because I think we were watching. Actually, was Kenny in that game too? I think he was. But I remember that bowl game that he had. I think it was the year before it, and just thinking how much of a dynamic playmaker he is. To say that I remember the plan that we had if we were going to draft him, I don't remember. I think I was lobbying pretty hard for Devontae. So I was thinking more about that. But yeah, I just remember just how much of a playmaker he is, and how he was, and being at Penn State, and so a lot of respect for him. He's doing the same things he was doing in Penn State, and he's doing it at a high level in the NFL.
Speaking of playmakers, Nick, Trayvon Diggs, corner who maybe gambles a little bit more. Not everybody does that. As an offensive guy, how do you approach that when you're talking to the quarterback, because it can work both ways?
Yeah, sure. We were upstairs talking about it, right? Just now, as far as you got to be alert for where he is. You got to be alert for where Parsons is. You got to be alert where Lawrence is. You got to be alert for where he is. I was with Malik Hooker in Indy, and he has got great ball skills. You got to be alert where he is, because he can turn the ball over. And so as far as Diggs goes, you just got to be alert. He housed one against us last year in the first game, right? So you got to be alert for where he is, and understand the routes that you have on against him. And he's a really good playmaker. I think the guy that that he always reminds me of, just because being in the division, you kind of think about all the guys you play. He reminds me of a Marcus Peters type, right? That you make a mistake with him, right? And so you got to be, if you make a mistake, he'll make you pay, and that's a sign of a good corner. He'll make you pay if you make a mistake. So we got to be on our fundamentals. We got to be on our details. We got to be on our reads, and because we know they have the playmakers over there on defense to make you pay if you're not. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
McCarthy just said that Cooper Rush is starting. What do you know about him, and are you surprised? I think like a lot of us are at the level of success that they've enjoyed with him at quarterback.
Hats off to Dallas, that they've done just such a great job. I really they lost one of their best players and one of the better players in the league, and they keep rolling. And they've won 4 in a row, without Dak. And I mean, to me, that's the playmakers that they have around Dak, that they have around Cooper, and that's also coaching. All right? They've done a really good job, and so we definitely know more about Cooper Rush than we did last year at this time, right? Because there's more games out there on him. So, we'll study the crap out of those games and have a plan for it. And I know we already do have a plan for it. But he's doing a nice job. And yeah, I got to give credit to Cooper Rush too, right? He's going out there and he's executing, and he's putting them in a position to help them win. And so a lot of respect there. And but like I said, we do have more tape on him than the Rams did, or than the Giants did, or than the I don't remember that order that they played, but good job to these guys of putting them in position to succeed.
Going walk through today, are you leaning
I'll
on
get you.
player data, like sports science stuff, or is that purely field based on?
A little bit of both. It's not, how our guys are feeling, where we're at right now. Coming off the rest, where what the data was, but on some of their workouts, and so it's a little bit of everything. Again, I have to get all the information that I can from every different department, and then I have to do what's best for the football team, right? So I have to take the data, I got to take the trainers, I got to take the all the elements and what great resources we have here at the Philadelphia Eagles, unlike any organization I've ever been at, the resources that we have. But at the end of the day, I got to make a decision on what's best for the football team, and this is what I thought was today.
Is there a conversation with the captains too, or are they?
I think they're going to always want to practice. They're always going to want to go. And but I discuss with them. I always have a leadership council meeting every Saturday. I'm going to discuss everything with them. So they're definitely kept in the loop.
I was just going to ask about last year. I think the Cowboys put up 96 on you. I know 51 came against your backups. But do you use stuff like that as a motivational tool going into this?
Last year was last year, and we're in a new year. I think somebody asked me something about that, because we got new players, right? Chauncey doesn't care they scored 96 last game, right? AJ doesn't care they scored 96 last time we played, last two games that we played them. We're here, and we can't control that, right? We can only control where we're at today. We're not looking behind us. We're not looking ahead of us. We're looking at what we have to do to go 1-0 today, so we can go 1-0 this weekend.
All right, thanks, folks.
All right.